minuaro. So rebe kabi. Abwagana. Nagana beyo. Eyo te minuaro. Mangana, Adeshe Mama, 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 Yefebia. And I mean, I get some of the feedbacks. Sometimes I can go overboard. Me near 100%. And I said you, you be anywhere. Now football, Valverde no more. Poor master so more. Now knows a penalty no hoko. So we are no. Those things will come. But I'm open and ready for criticisms and correction. Tiabribia mubu ha bibu awa to me fret. No my feedback. So they say me know what I bu na we have bu na we have. But I mean genuinely, yeah, internal contest, yeah. People also not agree with you, no. And I will say, they said Dr. Bawumia, for instance, the brand of builder, the credibility that is associated with him on data, I don't know. And sometimes, people don't understand why I hold Dr. Moa. I can be a data now. Was untouching me as a school, which is school COVID. Oh, back taking data. No, did doctor, but I mean, that yes, I'm into it. Mean to me, the deep and movie item that may call it cramming be that. Okay. And context, but at the end of the day, no, we are in a sabacabum. Now, your head will be a suicide body from where they may can I who say a year, but the party for the Beja to Biano. Why not? In I said in a way, about Mrs. said last election. Dr. Bawumia nkwa no be happen asem but say to abaman wie no enyina obi adi na chimi ede ne koi nti you campaign for your candidate on his track record and his strength about say we say me nwa bani Dr. Brian Champo ga so to da job bebe adwuma we dey zanet nti we dey debo adwobro we are de akuya na to da prapre we beti an yonko we beti ne yonko as we abusia bako efunu kromo ade e na o ye untimi ntwenkosi eche right and I say bra quickly ma yan kon yan hwemra sem kakra wo ye mranim ni de na yan hwe mra no ma menka sem just a brief one and afidie bi frame a mempese mechem we yonko bi wo ho na ya na bo frɛ age legal education and the analysis wo say my analysis opepa the okana ma say bi so lawyer dey bibia na wo tim you know where the law is no akwakan no bonya botra cheche ni nti oye no so on be frame me for sa chief justice ade I'm sure said the you can I'm sure say be be ka ho asem double kan and I'm so my family know say me prepare ni ade na me nwa isu de me so na ma me hwe de on so topics or de na hwe ni prepare well no friends say so kasama kere Japan nti be ka ho asem a e be ye political and I'm so and you kasama kere Japan unim nyansa wo lo ho ana azemo kroma ko wa team so and I'm saying kasama Kennedy o hina Japan wuntumi asamba wuntumi kan David o mo say o law no ko kan be say ugina party I'm so na say mo asema mo kere mo say domlevo na akwa asema say bia ye che the position of the law me che law and ethics wa gempa nti say ethical na ethical no so me ni hunim de timi kasama Kennedy Japan say me law na mo question na wu and I'm say o man be pa na ye building ye krom hey ayi na free wuntumi lawyer so come your friend and the appeal could be more fun no nya nchen yo more fun no come your friend and say na me the state of wuntumi dia no say me say be ka ho ase whether say arrest na na bibi almost anche no and no mo man no the bail condition I went to me and me and na mpese me confirm no na me aduma lawyer and the appeal could be can say na me aduma chira no be so metimi meet bail condition yes so police custody yes nti wona na me ya o ka so be frɛ back na sa chichira ne akonta mines issue yi di kan wo tia ya net wo san oh no kre me one person am person mine koso me one person me hunu se wonya kwanya ana oba ban mu a irrespective of akwanya bia obenya bia na edwumadi a obedi bia no you should open yourself have accountability we nipa se bibia ni ho a wodi si a eni kwan se wo so ye frɛ wa ban mu e se wo ye dey usro na se bio nipa e wo Ghana nyina se binya chama wontumi kwan na ye adwuma bra ye ban na ye dey wo. So assuming without admitting say government no even any basis of inviting you say mrasem no be you ho ana I don't think say anything wrong is wrong with it but ye man mu ha na kame so akoye say sa process no ye the ye hyemra na chi tete your political opponents. You beat Macassa and Tessa, but your Cassa dada ne dada. Mimi no me. It doesn't matter who is in power. Sometimes people abuse the law. What I say, they hide under the umbrella of the law. Because some run I say, them run was a police for which say a chrome high and name high. If you look at the state institutions, especially the security institutions, it's overly politicized. One more cry to politics, as I say, you politicians somewhere the home young politics. Until there can also be abuses. Yeah. And if we had the constitutional framework and the constitution, you cry a war, a dream be say, any pan will be to me, abuse him run. Into what they say, be back at the boat any pie, or me the for instance, over a constitution in Article 19, for instance, Article 19 talks about say, Ubia, Obe Facey, and Mrebia, Sebia, Yacho on a criminal trial, Bia said, Bia Chamaun to me, so me in one. Say there is an offense or charges that has been pressed against him. Article 19, someone can say, there such an accused person, there is a presumption of innocence. And Mranu Susu say, Unye Boni Bia, until say, Yadoba Kokota.
Those are called a police for a
Yes. Some me Kwasi Kwateng hey. We see from that police for farm say, Makoto Tuabo Bia. And Mranu based on Article 19, which I say, there is presumption of innocence. And the presumption of innocence need place be a friend. A Hallowed injunction say a quabia now quabia and fatale also the Nipa nefa so ntimi mfa nemfa so because Nipa no or ye innocent until say or the medical court and sign a court na ja to say ye na asem nyina wi di na asem no kwadu e de ball no Nipa kro no odi ho fo and also odi ho ye de ebe it is such until such a person is proven guilty such a person will be presumed innocent. The presumption of innocent in there so ya akwala o so ya pani o so ya oba o so ya bema o so ya sofo so ya teacher ni o so you're president to sebi manusu sumuna so we treat truck okra and awosako aduan awosako ano so far as you're Ghana need yes you do ko gina mranim as an accused person a ka accused person unse mrade o ma hodo tu you were the criminal trial and you were the civil trial civil ne say ankra you manim ya de yenya ye ho there are certain offenses and no de enya ye ho asem akotia o mamu ni nyina uko repo bi akotia o mamu ni nyina Oko say forest reserve ekuti o man obokro no etia o man
osu betu abayegu a
sa etutuo ene ade nyina ya chemre nim say no we de nye nipa mienu asem ne de yenya asem we de asem ni mu odupa nti o man no emra na ho de nyina na de ejina chiri na edita chiri no so no the framers of the constitution also know say wan hwe ya nipa ba ko no o ya against o man ni nyina no wan hwe ya ye betietia de fa ho de eso the be presumption of innocence say sadia yenyin tum wo ya adwemu say ene enfonso anasa bone kra se wadie no sa bone no unni until say de ubegina nsan ye ni arehwe wa asem hu say why sa bone no so eno na ko fa sa bail hu asem aye de ye de bai one me twetwe nko because if you are innocent on hot basis na say ye de ukotum na de ukotum wie ni arehwe wa asem ni hu so innocent say how
right and when nka me ba say per the work in Article 19 no as enshrined in our 1992 constitution
yes
estate declare say ye chi obi a court no kwa na wotumi so be kire say nipa no difo and odibem
yes
police na say de ni say wode ne be court na de nti ode na ba court no wakobo kwadu nti abeba ne saying na police ni be ka say ma chi nipa no me de ne be me host nipa no in my custody for 2 weeks 1 week me de ne court kura no a Sebi obi a court no nka se wadifo me the handcuff beto ni because na chama wutumi ko na handcuff krada ni sa
ma me nkyere mu mfiri ha
okay
unse criminal prosecution ni de say prosecutors na ateni conviction or court ofa ho de ye gifiri onsem nti court ho asem ka no e wo soro pa court no pese prove beyond reasonable doubt to crime sana wotimi de nipa na ye de atum so na prosecution ni police for nkran na ye prosecution de wo hwe constitution ni article 88 no the attorney general no kwa na tumi no constitution amane sa tumi no so onye de onye prosecution na mo no so tumi delegate eno ntina oma ebi tumi no apone kakra ma police for mo so tumi de nti police for can indeed prosecute na mo based on the same constitution no what they just supposed with case law court na kan Martin Pebu case no on bail ni ade ene section 96 of the act 29 the Criminal Offences Act we constitution is through her about criminal prosecutions ne ho sensem a year no so omra the Criminal Offences Act and the procedure so the efa so and also the na say ye chi obi nso a no matter how a obechi nipa kro within 48 hours no e was ujai
process nipa no
yes because police for no so court no and I say mra no mo ho kwan say within 48 hours here na investigation bi a wo ye bi a wetima ye dey aye nyina so etimi do ye dey court na wontumi de and kosi ye no eni say ye do court a so say you are under arrest and they have been they are press charges against you do no do court a court no ehwe bi a enfonso a kwadu for the other abo and the certain offense court no etimi ewo bibi e friend discretion ewo mrema court etimi ka say yesi Kwasi Kwateng eden nsaka oman sika bi a $1 million sisi a hema Kwasi Kwateng ekwa wan hwe ye Kwasi Kwateng ko enye dey enhu ni bio ti sa de ene Kwasi Kwateng twia offering say the bail condition of paso ha na ntie ni ye the bail condition of be a $2 million ye dey eto so na 2 million cedis ye dey eto so na mpacho ti ye kan bail ho asem na bail no enka asem kan nyina na ye say wa ugina emre ni mu no say we accused person you say you the charges you bua say bia you are going to face criminal prosecution or trial no bail ni nyina say ye benya obi obeye obesan undertaking oba be si aginamu say ye jao e ma wo kwa bebi e che wo a ye di wa asem abebi adon ho baba ye de abekere ame ato asem ni ye de eso asem bail ni nyina no de ka say ye the bail bond of 2 million cedis atono so eno nche se obi kotwa 2 million cedis so
okay
your police for no enu munti education bu ha obi timi ye se ya che asemasi wo Dwansa police station so for 5000 ye de emra pacho Ghana ye se nyina ti ase bail bi anywhere ni kwa so obi atwa teku ana ye de simpwa e wo bail mu na so that the people confuse the bail no undertaking no bail bond no I what bail condition because bail is like a bond na kwa say agreement bi a woni aban ye de sign and wa all best sign say Kwasi Kwateng ache na bono aba I mean let me use the one to me case so that it becomes very easy for us so one to me ni ache na one to me na obi eba be execute bail na man nipa na surety
okay
nti ono mom na ebe guarantee say one to me
say ska na modi atunity so
odwane amina me megina what I say nti one to me then becomes a principal the accused person na execute bail bond na man or a principal
okay
and then the bail bond becomes the conditions nti bu ha watia almost say oh chama untumi bail bond of be 15 million Ghana cedis let us say chama untumi ma court to be wa 15 million Ghana cedis ni e beje free ni pakro ye dey oba execute bail man as a surety no
me da se cancel na ba ni say na yenya nipa be mienu mo mu kogina mu say e bia chama untumi ye de ho be kire say sebi udwane ana ye jare say won kofie na court date wo mra na wa ma ye nipa mienu we ye beba e de ho abekire na still ye kasa okay ye nkohwe omojapade omwo ne yem value ajapade no se ni saa sika no a court na bodin no e ye pa ansire betima gya nipa no a ye gya nipa
so remember I said the bail is a bond bia is more or less like an agreement and any agreement that you have with the state and it comes with conditions and the conditions to the discretion of the court
okay
the court need to make us say oh based on our offense no sa bail bond no and she say wo bail no be execute show it ni be execute amano no otimika so ohia bia 3 sureties otimika so 3 sureties no kra ope e bia won mo ye civil servants principal level and e bia ope director level because of offense kro na we ope nipa won mo edibredru sa no ma be de o ma begine ma ye de amawo otimiso ka say bail bond no kra na obe execute no e bia otimika say it should come with sureties. So, if you also 2 landed properties with sureties.
Yeah.
Sureties, you know, sorry, 2 landed properties will be with 2 sureties. And 2 sureties in here, and nipa ebe execute bond na the amount. Also be with 2 landed properties. No, to make us to be justified. To be justified, they say, me ka say wo property ni keke. Na emu fankrata bra na say property na esa. Property na can so say 15 million. Nti say nkrata no mo ko evaluation. Na ehu say 15 million.
No dem be 2 weeks 3 weeks.
I mean, within a week, video which
who said you cause political witch hunting?
The point is that who said right now I've assumed the position of a legal practitioner. And I wouldn't want to jump ahead of myself. But I'm also minded, say, yeah, my muhanon sono. You cannot also rule that out. Say, sometimes for hide behind the law. No more they assess no matter. But at the end of the day, whether it's political witch hunt or it's not political witch hunter, the court is a place where a honor in your politics assembly Yemrasem ne yekoka. And I'm not sure so even Pubusa, even the lawyer crying to me make such a position, say a political witch hunt. So it will be say I will jump into that conclusion. But Sebi who say yes we nim who ni kruma etia. Sebi who say chairman so bu ha nka na nkomodie bi ne nsem bi so no. To da nipa bi okra asama etimide chewa. Say chief justice dey. Yeah. This is asama ko kanya sembia o. Hwesa me je fidie ye horo no. Because say or nkofo de oyɛ dey oyɛ saa chief justice dey ke dey a yes o ni kuna to kwan it's $10,000 waste any one from back away asem but o say ye dey e fa so ye dey ababo ni tim so sometimes so bi a your politics in amanyo asem a people can target you so say bi a chama untumi asante region now hadwen chama untumi asante ye mi a oman ensem ne dey nkoso chama untumi kura won sem a ka kan bi nso wo hɔ a na bi aban no nsusu se wono nyadwe ntia ne bibi wo ho ese kokwa mu kra eti bu ya negusu ebetimi ya dey agina so ya dey ahaw but at the end of the day I don't want to go into that speculations. My role as a lawyer, my legal education is say the court is a ground sir say what to na bia bibi science ya I mean that's a mean who to be so ABPR. Okay. He should be presumed innocent based on the constitution. Na yanko court na dey yanko ka. But my emphasis so in so say as you see the law and also the bail should not be used as a tool for punishment. Okay. The law is very clear on that. O he Martin Pebu case you court na bail no just to guarantee say nipa no accused person dey never back. Any can say yeah dey be as said that the punishment will be hwe remu acha no mu dey ya. Ni akofa bail of 50 million no money ade. I mean 50 million nipa is a property ko wi anazo go here dey. So nti ese ya dia we imagine a passport. It just say nipa no dey want to be kwan. Nti there is no bi a wo ho say ka akofa so much extreme bail conditions aba. But we say we court today na court is 50 but we dey Raymond Modemana. Yeah. Who the to was say Raymond were acting with political mindset. But court no dey is not necessarily acting with political mindset. Nti at the end of the day no our good legal team, we can only hope and pray for him, say, or we go through the processes. Near has said the minor so ensure say, young quiet be the amano semuntino, a real money ni pebia casacasa say, bear can be a faso, a man of my the hatchero. Maybe I'm rather than fire day, infanto. And I'm sure say, so when ye be he will come out very clean.
Quick one, national issues in young content and na ye Canadian Comosia. Young Domlevo. Was say, Saman for Becaya. Former Chief Justice Tokono, Mre by a petition by no process in say ya pow jury, or say na Yanfiana committee, or Montrase no Monfenasem, so diffus, nifus, Yabepamno, Yampamno, or Monka say, so Becaya, former Chief Justice Kasenka, Yen TV so. Now will be an Shebi. Madame said there be constitution, no, Mona lawyer for Ghana Mrana Mahon Quine, Sa, Sepenisa. Yeah, didn't some co bedroom, now will be a TB, a cocoon 2 bedroom, and a kikan is if you actually don't live about one thing, I bet you say, well, back committee and immigrant documents or the by name fake. Sir, ordinary Ghanaian Wall Street, so I say fake documents now. What they buy. The ordinary Ghanaian question will be say, sir, somewhere you see him from my bedroom, dear. A band send they see Kukuamno and they get to a bedroom.
Nina, reference points and it goes back to the law. Again, Raneka. Article 146, Anna, actually, quite a faso justice of the Supreme Court, a free office, Meboa. Anna, as I check quite a faso, a justice of any of the superior courts. With the superior court, the other kind you are talking about from the higher courts, Court of Appeal, up to the Supreme Court. Those are the superior courts. Article 146, actually, even including the Chief Justice, a quite a faso, the free office. Now, here, Article 146, 1468, a kabibi say a quanya or briefly na mekanya or say all proceedings under this article shall be held in camera. Open it in you. All proceedings. Quanya fashion. Article 146 is a removal of the justice of the Superior Court. No say and she say biane and amount to be a what say the justice of the Superior Court no or say shall be held in camera. In camera, let us say a quack and the justice or chairman against whom the petition is made is entitled to be heard in his defense by himself or by a lawyer or other experts of his choice. Nti kwan bia na essence say yina here them ni amana na kwanya so amana yede yina no na ti asem ni yo. The question you ask yourself say e die nti na ususu say the framers of the constitution on make say yes say any day e wo there ma ye mo bi anya day enhu nti no broni be can say the policy rationale like reasonably because adwempo yes say the judiciary is a very sensitive place. Sometimes you protect the integrity and independence of the judiciary, you know, because judiciary no mumkretu or mumkrejan. Adi omukra the omano and the respect and mano and the respect I say there the etomoso. The must be a judge bi akoya there mvata. Let's see the easy judges near the akwenyo as a judge. Okofa akwala no. Wo dey and there we near there for we say bu kra what judiciary we say why dey abafom. And sometimes there is a policy rationale behind that. Ebu also for fair hearing. So, ebu also a protection of the prejudice and public mistrust. Hey, you say NDC voice a chili, oh, yes, MPP voice a chili. Say the Bayer Crayon na judiciary, you know. I know one of the greatest and strong arms of government. And young Quayam on your seminar didn't see a seminar can with them. Now, also a certain information cries ABP confidentiality issue into me file whole chief justice and in the same binya day and a trouble in the young can with them. So now I'm more confidence and the image of the judiciary in side. I as a president, maybe a president, you say a president, you will never fear their babon. Sometimes national security issues, confidential information. So there's a policy rationale behind that. Indeed, there's a policy rationale. Then it means say what would take committee needs to be 146 man who consult committee so in making a determination say on the petition on Nipano what form an answer on for any recommendation my president you are bound by Article 146 say BBI in camera no more they even take an oath. One would take it oath of confidentiality. So it depends on the oath on where they take it as a committee. Committee will not just start working. One may take it oath of confidentiality. Sometimes you also oath of secrecy. It is if you took an oath of secrecy or oath of confidentiality, and I would do Milovo, Papa do Milovo, what one. Tell what to honor by virtue of operation of Article 146.
Equal to documents.
So take such an oath, or even if you don't take an oath, now what now kasa information be when you be a privileged information. So, into on what basis na privileged information, ultimately sa privileged information in Babede, about trouble thing. And if you are in a position where you have a privileged information, you are duty bound to keep such a privileged information at your level. And you can say ever out. And the dumlevo ye me busamia is not only unethical, but we're breaching the very principles of confidentiality based on his role to have access to certain privileged information, not or a member of the committee. To me, they say, I mean, we're breaching such a duty. So, and if you breach such a duty, it also have some consequence on you. Because if you have taken an oath to say, assembly will hire me canabonting, and that's a constitution, assembly will hire me canabonting. Now, but I mean, especially when you go to create the dibre and the numunyam as a senior lawyer above former. Certainly, what it means, and they say he may even file charges of defamation against you. So the numunyama the above form. In any event, in any event, Papa Dumlefono, or a day, determine say those documents were forged. What I say, because you are not an expert in that, you don't have an expertise in determining forged documents. So on what basis and how did you come to the conclusion say those documents were forged? What I say, unless of course you had the original document. And again, the documents does not emanate from a Ayiko to no assembly be anymore. He's not under any trial. The client, so you cannot then say Ayiko has filed a forged document. If there is anything at all, it should rather be on the client because no lawyer represents himself. Or no one ever representing. Yes. Exactly. If or we cry with the documents, he doesn't have to draw Ayiko to in. But I mean, he's not a lawyer, so be I know those blunders and other. But politically, no. Okay, dumlevo. Beyond law, no. Okay, dumlevo na. Ne letter one mudi ne dieno. Na also on basis of so forge the birth set and answer. Bono, yeah, all your phones are no day. What on so now you are culpable of the same thing. In the assuming with that admitting, crash say you are not even under altar. Even the moral right to cry, no, even any moral decency to even talk about forged documents here. But at the end of the day, he should have known the right thing to do. He was a member of a committee. There were judges of the Superior Court on it. One knew what's supposed to be do, what's supposed to be triggered. Okay. So before the document, Oshe by virtue of 158 of Act 29, whether any even 120 of the same Act 29, it may fall under forgery or perjury. any of them because all kinds of documents require reliable and valid. It's also page and a document now for GNs will also be under forged document for before any judicial committee. General so also who call the bed before so the process ideal process and they say can what the attorney general and as a police no more the prosecutor but the abontin obey the Obeka. Indeed abontin Obeka and the media Ubusamia were breaching the principles of confidentiality by basis say he was there to have access to a certain privileged information and a privileged information no injuncted by Article 146(8) saying you can answer the trouble. He was also under oath based on the whole committee na nkasa djuma omoye dey eyo a odi aye dey better bonti nti kwan bi wo ho a ombe say mra betimi na faso a ombetimi na faso especially ayeko to for instance betimi hu say ne comments a man defamatory
okay
what I say I did nanim onyam ene ni bo as a senior lawyer ayeko to say beyond MPP and say nyina ebu no
yeah
to ko kasa bi fa no say wa forge documents aba say disrespect nti ayi to knows what to do. I'm sure say I mean he knows say he or case in defamation against him if he wants to pursue that. I
wish I watch you here. Sabe kana fi yakemra
like Abeka law.
Me ba to high assassin 107.3 assassin 88.5. I will Kumasi assassin 89.7. I will Tamale assassin 100.3 will Cape Coast. Mining City Radio 89.5 for Takwa. Afima Radio 103.3 will Kofodia in the Eastern region. Now, I mean lawyer Kwasi Kwateng spokesperson ma Kennedy Wahine Agyapong. Former spokesperson, Ministry of Education, and you know, a dean common name, national issues and those about one who is what boss one here now, and now because you quit in one more. Or that's why I say you place you are going to be. What's this out there? Lord in our party, nipa wasi tu akwa se do hu we nyina ma ti bi ma akofra and no do oni mpa ntu de koto
okay me so be good constitutional lawyer say ne wani je ho ne koto aso
Kanzo quickly campaign cause can do in Japan campaign
Ken campaign here the good thing is Ken etima sustain momentum na after January besine of course I mean say the momentum is like a space within the media space and the grounds. Okay. Untimi sustain ya to that week we were better of kakra. But in the Ken's case, no, a mama who say the campaign or running no if ready. Na Nyankopon side e wo mo. Obi asebi nipa dodo no akure so say yes on bass of once the asem which in any event is not even true. Because now we yonko ba ku bi sam radio say candidates of atem. Am so we did those of atem. So there be na say me so me go praise we need him as of atem. Nti nipa bi na wono ye bibia enya de entene okay bra Yesu Kristo wura asori dem ho a na wono mo sintonto e dey asori dem mo to chacha e dey marketplace or mo to ade on he rebuked them nti Ken ade a all year ade a Yesu Kristo year some few years ago about 2000 years ago and wono so repeat the same. Okay. But we beyond that and he for na Agyapong campaign aso for na Agyapong campaign
okay
papa wusu bempa no Bernard no mo of sofa makwatan and so for ben organa ha ye nyina gini tuma onhu bibi mfa Ken ho say Ken na Nyankopon de ye de eba but the truth is say we are not banking all our hopes on prophecies
me ba ho sisi ya wo kan bibi say Kennedy wa hina Japan campaign no Efre Nyankopon
yes a divine
mo hu bibi ya Ghana for enya hu MPP for enya hu ye aspirants no enum enti as a spokesperson who can say Ken dia ne de Efre Nyankopon ho a ne e patche say
bono Ghana for emabunu bre na wono mo esu agu nyame so a ama baby edru ezu hwemanim say yes ama presentation
na sa menya ba no afere me
na de ya ebu ahwe no asere ase o ka no tim say akoi kasa gege no dem mi kasa hwemanim nsere o sira asa mo me kasa eduma na professional eduma na me we dem maybe December ya na ekwa atwea ohum na sofo baako ya na obuza mze na kwasi na school adwane school you know free SHS nwana na ya amose esa ya no kwa na asa nya no kwa mse open professional answer na say honest answer asija kwasi akeka sofo na ndeti kasa
so quickly yeah why say Efre Nyankopon
yes the make say Ken campaign if Rade say Ghana for mabunu abrabo essay one more is where Rade so na Rade etie one more sufre and one paibo and Ken meche. But within the same 4 years and 8 years, I will be a benya as a president. No, Nyankopon de Ken ebeye ejuma sonko. I'm on mine, and yan fan hoodie. I'm on my moan and my bow so ultimately live with the basic decent life. I was say nipe be a timid de live. Bono, ye my muha, so me mouth just an overview. Okay, World Banker. World Bank, who say the election with the data election.
Yeah.
World Bank, one of my estimates say, bear 10 years from now. So, we developing economies to say be Africa, no, and Asia, part of Asia, no, near there. One must say, any pair better Juma, about 1.2 billion. So, Juma bear 1.2 billion, if I a move 430 million, maximum bear 430 million penny benny human eye. 800 million of say human and nipa here will not exist. A human crow cry any day, anyhow. Bonutia sem no. 800 million of say human cry any day, anyhow. What the bat ye be brim will be a baker say we are see seminar a day, yeka. Do the infama ya be brim. What the bag Ghana ha? One must say unemployment rate 14%. John Becas was a Ghana Statistical Service Becas so yeah, unemployment rate here the air for Babusa will say, one more human bono kind of cratch and home. How did they survive? Because the same Ghana Statistical Service in World Bank Becas will say Ghana for one human 80%, one more salary no 3,000. Now 3,000 bonum cry all higher by say single room you say. Timu more mammy, you know what mammy and sano. Oh, it was officially non officially in either day.
How do you survive?
How do you survive? No auto petrol. Na sebiu ubabonsa a year a weekend, maybe a ye, a sorrow call ubifia tight, over 30 and that's why they ed. Into what means a crum had it. Is it that we are magicians or we are doing something? Yeah, intimate kind of credit and country. And the corruption I didn't the Eban. Now let's look at the remaining 20%. The remaining 20% required Ghana Statistical Service one required the live in abject poverty. In the MMU at Tihano. Nipa bibinya kakra ma omo sako ma no ko ehu omo so mo ye de escafo.
Okay.
Why? Because say the basic necessities of life ema nipa bia enya nkankro ema nipa bia ntimi nsanko na no enya de kese bia obo no say wo timi wa okuro mu ha bono so ye adwuma 10 years 5 years na o peka also timi ye de etobi so ye adwuma 15 years na no ye mu kama katu ebu ma na se fie kura wo se mutimi ye de etobi no ye ema mu he binya de anyha ade a ye basic wo bia ma binya de anyha. So I've read other statistics, other researchers. One must say, in Korea national service, a batch or more national service, no, it takes a minimum of 10 years for half of that national service batch to get job. Other half will still be still searching. The other statistics say, grad 12 years could be a 12 2 pen or man bit more ejuma.
Let me say
10 yes, your life will literally say. So nti abrabo en fatane normal people taking advantage, especially people no say akoyo babuna eno na ekoso ya ya memu ha. Nti baby ya edru memu ani so. Mabawa ni so. Enne nka ne no omoto omo maame no mo nsase a ni aton no dey apply school no dey kwata bochi. Enne kana dey apply kwa ya dey yemfa. And then more apply, me say my one be apply no school no apply kwa nyede emfa because abrofo so hu say omo ba enye school bi no ombe de ombeko o be baby adwane afa odu na school no agya no ahwa se etwi ba nti omo so cry because a lot of people are just on the street out tiaboche so on tiaboche so nti na me na etie ni pesu friend no ka cham say no Kennedy why be pen akoma ekura Kennedy ene tema Kennedy ewo and the experience awanya ewo nwuma bi mo na the track record say bono bi nwuma nipa at his own level for the time or shall be seen there. Our track record say we're in the employment list or employ more than 7,000 people. And the companies at the personal level, they were timaye. Now you say entrepreneurship. No, I say Asian model. I dare Kennedy be there simple pay. He's not really coming to do any magic. Kennedy, for instance, say Zoom Lion to me for 10,000 workers. What Kennedy is coming to do is say, or be create Zoom Lion makoma 1,000. And this will be half any part 10,000. I don't know say in 1 million workers.
Yeah.
Unemployment that's something. Say me more name about juma you make your tax. Tax and the be road. A year kwanda hospitals. And Kennedy ni nyame de neighbor abebi nyuma ama Ghana for a day enya biaye. Nyame de Kennedy ba abebi nyuma ama party for a day enya biaye. And I was a Kennedy and style he has always been advocating for form for na self phone. Omo no come as a mom. And do hear election ekoya. Obi tu bi say as empanimfo no gina Dr. Baomiachi and a form of no say dey ejina Kennedy. No kre obi kasa on team because empanimfo no dey won na Dr. Baomia buy for the past 16 years. Won na our party ni a control no ma nti obi asebi wakwate wedi a wo ye de de wo ka che so mepa ne nsasa ya na edion omba koso ya de ejanechi na fomofo na wonu mahu wo a de bia de sa om ho na de so om na bi ha ebi kura tese bi nsofo mpo no wakode wo katama ya de afa bi ya de edi because ayi de ama no you know mfa say you know adena toa no ayi wo ni wom no tenten nti egumo ebi kura nhwie mu no bi de afa
Kwasi critics ka say factual you I may ask hard questions but
yes.
to erase certain misconceptions into allow me to ask those critical questions. Critics can say, omu follow Kennedy Wahine Agyapong no feel say, omu di Dr. Laji Mahmoud Bawumia, echino, a lawyer kukudam for, a bankers a kukudam for, a we a kukudam for, and to ye could dinner chikura noa, sabi, or we nikra yin ya baby and share. Sape penetiana.
I don't think that is the case. Oh, Kennedy so a catch food in the tipa. Oh, memu aje Kennedy adwuma ya lawyers nkwan one young professor bi Desiree wonu nyina or ahyasi ha onu nyina kan ho young boys we say before no the last elections okoye no akoye say yes on the face value na appear sir because na establishment candidate was DMB and there no two ways about that the establishment candidate when na party for twetwuro do for nyina ya de but say na ekoda na ya wonu hu say no ya mfa kena ma ya ho be che bi yentimi win the general election 2028 no yenka so bi ntimi win election when MPP mu but we are saying say if the conversation is 2028 there can stand tall than any other person a lot of them have switched sister can no near ho Kwasi Kwateng one fine brain Charles Horson no mo near ho I mean the list can go Jojo Rocky no mo ene omunyana so mo ye fine young men mo near de me to say me so me mranim ni me nwa kobia mo Professor Desiree no mo near de a me boy nti say no de na wo hwe nkofo kwa wono matedin a omo pese omo be kasa say no entesa but you see every obia okwa election is a matter of strategy obia obia na ho de ye de ewo we Dr. Bawumia na image our build here say oye kratini a ase wono de bia I mean that elitist posture meboa but ken so ho de our building is one de okase ofo ni obi oni bia asem ye de ema no enti enye very odd so be hu say a phone for na bia ohunu so omunyo bia no omu di kan ye de echi because from the one omu na what is or come ntokwa ye de emom ken no ehunu say esro for ni di ne bia munya bi ne on de ontwe mo ase ofo no be kama asema ye de amom nti ordinarily he build the base there
okay
and a doctor no so no say ono so de na koye ye economic lecture ye church ade mu so ye ko ha ye ma oso bia ba ku ya na so de bo say the rich ideas who say ono so de na koye say the middle class the class of people but baby to me no a form one a cell phone sovereignty resides in the people a phone for the Hona Kennedy no way there we go no way from ni so from ascend on Kusku and na CC for man nyamia pagya no abey private businessman no oboa no okun no ka party asem no okun party for to come on we build a support base so when people say that they are not entirely wrong but context is also very important
so from where you sit you think say Honorable Kennedy Wahine Agyapong and lead party no a bad day in the party between recapture power 2028.
No correct. The entire makers are say. We say MPP ya wabakosem. So ya bakosem nyina no. Wo hwa fiti edubu ahen eba opani uti ni fiti edubu ahen ba besi Dr. Bawumia so no. Obi a wanya kwanya asom MPP bia no. Ayo obi a ye vote no especially call first time no. Wotimi di bi ye de account. And you Professor Dubois here. Ono kra no in spite of Sabre Rollins hunu anomo ne ade nyina. Unso onya 30% to 30.29%. Or call ye no a chief President Kofo by obe contest and President Kofo they call 30 from 30 no and they call 39%. Now from President Kofo 39% no so President Kofo the cry so by no so by far from 39 they call 49%. So the first time no President Kofo the cry the obi free office cry there. Okoya the votes no ekoya to about 6.7 million votes.
Okay.
But o share in the history of MPP Dr. Bawumia nkwa na ho den no you hear graph na cost no kwa na dey above from. And I mean records and the facts also on the data mind ya na oka watch data. Me ma data no my background why I think say can a bit my about no. Election e call no in 2024 no. Out of 16 regions no. When say move 15 regions MPP declining in votes compared to 2020. Me no ka say ye 9 regions na ye no out of 98 parliamentary seats no. And this woman 93 you move 5 pe. Chasem New, ye baby a general and ye baby a papa. Your 4 regions squad here, you need parliamentary rep. You will nipa close to 400,000, over 345,000, or no more cotoma parliamentary candidate, no, or maybe no more presidential candidate near day, at Tutiano. Yanka say, or no Dr. Baumian, why they walk also. But sometimes you can be in a certain circumstance. Yes, Obachon, why they a cinch.
But I will say Dr. Laj Mahmoud Bomia saw the data. But then you know, the data go up.
I say, oh, say data election here running. Just say, a data election here running. Oh, 100 and election acquire, it was 276 constituencies. 276 constituencies. Who said, John, we need 199.
Okay.
199. Dr. Baumia lose 199. Joshua, Nipa constituencies where the rejection rate was about 72% rejection rate.
Wow.
And the election acquire in the election say, oh, Yakwana party nanya de anyad. It goes beyond party nanya de anyad. It also shows say it be at the popularity of the candidate be at the choir.
Honanka council facha me honanka me ban say
yes.
MPP as a political party ne lusu ya na say the candidate no a or frontier lead MPP and the party in Lusu.
The popularity of every candidate counts. What I say? The popularity of every candidate counts. I'm more example, President Akufo-Addo. Okay, 2016 or thereby, 2020, they are accusing this work banks. 2016, from 2016 about 2020 election, they are accusing this work banks. They are accusing this work galamse. So okay, but yes, still the voter share equals more than time about 2016 election where they were. So over 5.6 or 6.7. So it should say sometimes a candidate matter. If a candidate doesn't matter, there, now saying about obey. If it is a party, there is the same party now. But President Akufo-Addo holding any munyam, any GD, the trust, the confidence that people have in his personality, any credibility, and about their man. The whole party slogan was even revolved around him. To the sense, say, in your case, 4 more for Nana. Meanwhile, I think a bit make 4 more for MPP. Nduni minipa ni bukura so o kasa MPP anya dom so MPP de Akufo-Addo na appointees na anya dey amo anu ba Akufo-Addo dey oyade. So it was na nice popularity and the year dey ekoi. But in the case of the Tabaomi anya say bia oye nipa boni o. But don't say penifo kura ka say enso kura cha etu me dey ehwa. 32 years of having been in the party no. Emu 16 years na wanya kwanya dey asom. Nti nipa no bi susu say nimde ne adwen poni ahoden ne bibia wo som nyina within 16 years there. Well, lead the party, they watch my day, ayewi. Tinipa no usually your granny day, Janchen. For instance, it be a sinipa to tier party on the ground on the basis of economy. It is not a case of economy, be an now vice presidential candidate in economy now on your day, on count. Bunity assembly you because on the for instance on the economy. Mahama at the dollar no eba 1:4 meboa. Ana wo ade a wo ko school ekosua hu nim dia nim se wonim hu nyansa eye hu PhD or Canada eye the economy. Oba na may not even be you but circumstantially no. Now around by 17, 4 to 17. How then do the people look into your face? Someone who and him catch us say, "Oh, 17 was better than John Mahama." And there is even as a matter of strategy, no. And sometimes even better say any sadia. Okura no say woo, say woo. A maujina and chenya mo before and go form facade nenya day and children no edna nim kwa day. And 16 years dear, the ideas be a will be away the way. And if I say. The party ni shire bia wo mu ni adodode bia na bia mo so no ngrofo wa yede onya bi de sa dia e bi ko aka mo twem ho mo bi so yede e ba ya nka no so be de ebe yi nti it's not really about say bia Dr. Baumia no enkofo ta na na say he just say a poor candidate no but sometimes even the circumstances around him no e bibia ni nipa be de ebe yi no now compared to Ken
okay
say Ken dey enkofo ginidi. So now me show be or say one present or so Dr. Baumia is not a liar. Me wo GDS Dr. Baumia onya trofo. But what was the circumstances around that election? The circumstances around the 2024 election, that was the image he portrayed about him. So no be or bia or kasem or or this so. And the people break us there man. In that circumstance, and so election our candidate what build the trust and credibility and kofo the agility. It's what can your kind of cre. Can your kind of Ken the oya on day on Chimau. Ken the Wakudru. Shanano a year ko ya Blackmanoff a de Yakui. So na Blackmanoff a ko ya just 19 police in Kofoko de Kuchify. People started talking. Say a Ken Park as I'd be Kenya de NC. And what we are saying is say a Bribia ni leader and Yankopon de Eniba. After 16 years and all over the world, there was even a poor strategy. Only 3% of vice president paid the team associated boss. all over the world. Yes, so we're going into that election. We are not saying say on any papa, but what we are saying is that wabasum and on the dia 16 years ago, they also be already. Sometimes even in the spirit of revival, you need a new face. Okay. Say your question. Oh, maybe a presby. I won't go with that. Maybe go presby. You'll be a friend of revival and Kenya. Yeah. So that if you first of all go free different dioceses the near day. Yeah. And they say be a also for no yadio. But when matter ma familiarization that the album. And to what only today will be banu abede abe Kenya. Okay. Oh, it is no one in the but now no boy so here yes Kennedy say we of yes Kennedy be almost Kennedy and awesome and I didn't mail Lucy election and Debbie and we see there comes a time where we need to own up to responsibilities. Near kind of criteria who say Achia ne mui by the same beboina. DC no ankoi, but I take ultimate responsibility and I'll fix it. That's what we have to do. But as a spokesperson for Kennedy Wahine Agyapong, when you say we're part of the MPP Lucy 2024. I reject that. I mean, someone Joe. And when I'm team, yeah, more fat or say Chairman Sabonso. I feel you say, who's almost starting almost a Kennedy in the you Lucy. I mean, someone Joe. Kennedy started aside from a Dubois Hembro. Sir, one of the idea of accused Kennedy pass or friend people from Kwasi Kwateng and then this is for ball. Marin Kancho kind of 2015. And the bra, Mia Penny Gabia Sarache Dako, and that's Antibedia to President Akufo-Addo, Safuma for Mokwe meeting Kufudia, party ni a record on family MPP station. No, the record of a pro NDC station, more day, a cowboy. Nankade, a how can see a better trust and the phone at him for the entem. Kennedy nisika na party who na ya no sinipa say be wage me from kwan na be yes adewi in that context say sim the year 2015 no 2015 no sa Bernard no kan impa we living within a certain context no omo party say 2015 ntimi ama Akufo-Addo lose 2016 but now ma 2024 mom na Dr. Baumi abe de be lose it can be logical ti asem no bono say Kennedy anuma asem Kennedy enipa onye saint what you say. And no one will have a so can be all kind of say an all kind of say a bed a beboa. But a no man of Kennedy can may lose election. Bono a DDP Kennedy Nakokan wasem. DDP Kennedy Nakokan wasem. Sir, a Napo for ya bear 2 years entry a moke, and a Kennedy Nakokan wasem. Kennedy Nakokan wasem. Galam say fight ya na actually a buya, na wasem Kamayed, a Kennedy Nakokan wasem. And Kennedy Nakokan wasem. So there are a lot of factors that affect here. When the dollar move from 4 to 17, abuso kan fusu obi esu ordinary people so petrol near tutu no Canadian asem the kokan any Canadian asem. So I don't think say we should maneuver the truth and run away from it. Say because Kennedy is all contest, all of a sudden no asem no asem na made me lose election there, then he should as well be a very powerful person. But no money be high yakika kan as a party anya the anko ya the ama ye yen fanche adwebro and me bono no kre om say sanso mu nyina no if say asase na no Kenya Dr. Baumi na no say obepa we asase na no gina mu ka say oh me na modem ko akon no me na me di animu de tie bia say ko you say anya you I take responsibility enya Akufo-Addo na anya we enya Gabi na anya we enya Kennedy na anya we enya Dutum na anya we say de nipa bia wa anya ne bibia ye kura me na me di akon ne me ne nipa wa re o me di akon ne ntini nyina me Dutum adwebro mo mfa nche na de aka nyina be kan hu oboni aye ni am sure say ke ndru ho senke ye shase sa akura ka enya de ke ndru but the koba say oh ye tufu amu kura
and isa a chopa no Kennedy Wahine Agyapong hu ni say a right step na Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia will take his over patrol say party na nya de into a monfancha na because honorable Dutum about wanting ya betu ga say wo panacho wa one panacho because any sector via and na ahode
I think say time no the be patrol na macho pano I questionable nipa nim bebre be say oh say nye genuine na wo tena ho ye to aba wie ne
Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia a chop and a genuine apology.
Time no emma nye genuine emma no susu say genuine. O compare your news card time no say and make say kedikan na o hwe ya o hwe kan ho asema but don't say dikan no now it was more of a blame game. Okay, say you call thank you to Onmo Yesa Akufo-Addo, you to petrol mu ni mni ade che almost Kenya Japan e cause so you defeat e che ko almost say Kenya Japan anu asem. We say it went here it went there but I'm saying say ka obi a o kan ntemo a kedi adwobro be de ebeba but when ebeka be 3-4 months election na bega say opa acha dia eno de nipa ne bi so say bia ne acha opa opa no wo mo ebehu se bia nyigini but I mean whichever we say is better late than never also pacho say nipa ne bi acha chere madwe say na no me hwe me nwa pani gabi ono so che na adwen de ewo ho me so obi a che na adwen ho nti wo hwe acha opa na enye party fo ni bebre na ne hwe yem pacha a acha opa ni mu no emma obi anya impression say obi foforo na aye bone na enti na pacha no that's not how we do it ye pacha to take responsibility ti asem ni yo ye pacha to take responsibility ye pacha to apportion blame pacha ti asem ni yo ye pacha to take responsibility we don't apologize to apportion blame
but apportion blame ana
oh say background no ho wo hwe nsem akoso a we na ye say we na minim aha na menye say aha na menye say a so ase nkofo bi susu say ne campaign yi call for mo hu say campaign no what say ya to zoom campaign ya to zoom na ma ase sa chopa na ye de eba but I mean whichever way is o penny o so pa cho ayate ya de mpa bota na chi
right, Kwasi, but who say critics need be means you critics are you understand it from where you are coming from. Critics need be can say MPP can say chinchina chin akani and say yedene ba a dangerous ma MPP 2028. Obiti say no boss say chairman sabunsu ordinary notum say be unfair say yenya sremni famanusiye na wa baba ko ne be ka say yi na sinchen ne de akani aba because akani de wokufo ba em premier nu mampanyi na na do ba em premier nu nti den ne bedru and den ne be bedru Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia so a ye be ka so akoba kwanye yi a ye mfa no ensi enchen issue ne ye akani sremni ana awunani ana bununi ana issue ne ye den Kwasi Kwateng
mono no kure se sa asem no se nye video na mehwe ya ka min yin disa nda se honorable say chairman sabons na ye de e kan won se ono no ebu kwan so no be bia me de no toto no e wo soro pa o e party pani pa nti inseni bi wo ha bia it smacks divisive comments not to men's words inseni bi wo ha nya asema e de nkabom ye de eba e de papamu entitimu ne papamu na ye de eba. Ordinarily you would have expected say and go be cranka no no munya day entry na adwin so say sa asem we enya de yenka bono ma mu so asem last election say call ye no na kanfo ni wona Dr. Bawumia to abaye de hema no ase wono mo koye kra ma na yes say there is almost criminal to be an akan na ho na yesa last election call ye na kanfo ho ana ye nyina ebo mu koto abaye de ema Dr. Bawumia because at that no me hu say on na betime di party na nima ye de hede yakọ. But bono masema me woka we asem we hu ne etiawa masema me woka nyina na say party no ye hia obi a obetimi awini a winnable candidate candidate obetimi age akoya na ye de amaye somebody who can win 2028 for us. We need a winnable candidate. We don't need a candidate because of his ethnicity. Ye hia winnable candidate and not necessarily an account candidate. What I say? Indeed, no many people why they papa munin mu ba.
And from when you are coming, mu de nya kan sem.
No, you hear we are candidate. No, me say last elections no. Last elections no. Ntina kanfo no ne to abama sremni. Say MPP say only about a sremni ni akanfo asama. We are not fighting. We are not competing for anything. O mani nye sremni ne die so. So this answer na say can anytime bia no we use it as a weapon near the incite one people against the other no nya de hu ye de ehia say see awo ka se kwan bia ye hia esemuni indirectly that's what he say you know nkofo so aka bono nkofo so aka say bia semuni efiri ho a wo de another semuni ba bia Ghana for nye de enyi ntu munti bi na no yante say bright champion starting the campaign ka say achimni ye nye de ema enti wo kaka saa na nkofo eso kode de saa nsensem ne yi wa no a ene na ma saa politics of division tribal and ethnic policy near the eba into where the no sebio or say chairman sabons or your penimu adjobro yes say divisive comments no and the remarks onyai the eka then PP is more interested in getting a winnable candidate. Dr. Bawumia is saying na bono yenka say Dr. Bawumia because he's a bia an ordinary. No, we are saying say the performance the track record of the course election ye de ku bi o a emwa party no be a party ni jina emwa won't mean to me the MIA. We just want a strong candidate, not an account candidate. We want a strong candidate, not a northern candidate. We don't care maybe any party the ifri. All we need is a nipa kwa rebano or the more do bit my head. Ajitumi head. Am I? This akasa nenya kasa buni bekase. I mean, it's fit for discussion and it's fit to come from somebody of his status. No.
Dr. Alajima Mudu Miaba Bontin Yabetu say, see a case and suma was some sebi manu de suminaso. Adia ya mempesi meka ho asemi esa no ma we but enkomodienti yen nkomo. Se ne suma wosom eka ho bi na ema MPP lusu ya na sebi wani bi mo critics enyadwen because or outperform me 236 Christian MPP parliamentary candidate PC for and is a moka say we enkramoni nti agana for anto aba manu a woni mo
First of all, my answer in two stretch, and I want to be on record. The way my main candidate, I'm sure the show is ending. First of all, Obien who akasa or Muslim untina will lose elections, and I'm not sure Obitima pointed to anybody with such an evidence as Messi and Oben Senka Bisa. It's speculative.
Okay.
Secondly, that logic now advance, and of course the example I will borrow to sustain his argument, and it's faulty. It is not true. Say. Or at for 236 candidates. Patriotinio. Just a fleeting comment and fleeting analysis will make here. And not true. 236 candidates, he didn't outperform them. Do you know why? The whole 276 candidates, our file, 89 pay. They now outperform 236 candidates. Now, let me give you the trust of the matter. The 236 candidates, no mere Christians. It is not a case, say, they were contesting with NDC Muslim pieces. NDC has also filed 215 Christian candidates. So the Christian candidates that were competing for the pieces, they were 91%. And other than that, the Christian candidates are competing among themselves. Assuming without admitting that religion is an issue, effectively, religion will not be an issue because we are Christian, and now we are PC, and I'm ONDC, and I'm Christian, and I'm PC, and I'm MPP. Indeed, there wouldn't be anything as religion. Now, TBU, I didn't know that Mama Dubaumia, or then who compare presidential candidates, and then who compare the own pieces. Is he contesting them? You are contesting your own pieces. What I say, we own parliamentary candidates. How do you compare yourself to them? Who opponent John Mahama? He's a Christian candidate. And if you want to play religious cards, you compare yourself to John Mahama. And then the parliamentary candidates then compare themselves to the parliamentary candidates. On what basis, now presidential candidates will compare who to be a parliamentary candidates. And that the parliamentary elections, what the elections are, and the presidential elections and Yapu. Parliamentary elections and presidential elections are not the same. Factors influence parliamentary elections and they're the same as factors that influence via national elections. My more example, who said they be offer in team for Joe, Reverend team for Joe, so Reverend team for Joe cry or ye Christian Poco or so for crowd, but there were other dynamics of course war. Reverend team for Joe, he had an independent candidate. What is that about Miaka Wazemla? And then the one for Ankahu. What I say, so the parliamentary elections are local elections. In any event, 91% of them that were contesting were all Christians, both MPP and NDC. In the other now, who compare and contest already, they were both Christians and there was nothing like religion at the parliamentary level. What I say? And so even if people are accusing you, say, religion can affect you at the national level, the best comparison for Dr. Baumia to do, so the people will not accuse him for maneuvering data and making fleeting analysis should have been on comparing him to John Mahama and not to his own pieces because he was not contesting the pieces. This is our logic, Canadian. I mean, from the data man, I'm surprised. Unless, of course, it will be the AC. But let me make a correction. Let me make a statement. It is not to suggest to say, be a yes man can say he was affected by religion. Babuno, no crane say any part that's any TV. A lot of factors affect our behavior, including voter behavior. We are affected by our tribe, our environment. What I say, Bebu how a ribu ha, Sebu home kubita. Boy, uncle, I can't say Korebuza. There was Sumbu ha, Wabusia, Okomo, Maunia, the Uncomuda. It affects us. And if you want to be sit here and be dismissive about it, maybe we may try two Muslim candidates from the same tribe in the north, near Fanko elections. Maybe we will still want to experiment. What I say. let's be very frank to ourselves. When the Kobo Panetia or then you're right out, and Mbappe or right out to the left in the Kobo. Who does that? NDC for almost set a trap, on my end. You can't change this for say, so almost pass ante for sema, or Munko for Santinio on Flabera. You can't almost pass ante for sema, or Munko for Santinio on Flabera. Near here, almost election, but some of them almost some of them or account for. Omo no so mo pack and for nyina asem omo pass ante fast so mo do account for do asante for won mo kokuma sen for bi yon flabera party ayato about 1592 MPP asante region to MPP voter region to NDC. Why do you say this is influence here? What does it? I mean,
it play key role.
It plays a role, but you see, we've learned to live harmoniously with each other. Intenya we want to promote, but we cannot pretend say now the daughter about me why campaign one thing or say who refuse or say John Mama Ninya no na obeko 4 years na ono wo chance so 8 years na say the John ba 4 years another not the team maybe. These are comments that were made. One this or say okọ obenya zongo votes aba. What I say? The day quality you because we don't want NDC people to accuse us say impend lordness ahead the asem. The now could say obi a you to clear certain perception. Then after the election, that perception automatically cannot be discussed.
And to me, pretend this ethnicity in play role.
We can deceive ourselves that ethnicity and religion doesn't play a role. But I'm saying, say, ethnicity and religion influences voter behavior and it influences everything. Ebia, there could be circumstances beyond that. But you catch them say, yeah, this is here. Take, hey, what VIP station da?
Okay.
What VIP station? Bus is 102. One would driver need them on Bombay in a ministry and driver on Waku Square, a train is a driver. Yes, in a ministry and in free and on some Holy Spirit, we are people of religion. So why are you pretending to ourselves say religion doesn't affect us, religion doesn't does anything? Mamisha young girl, we call her out here. So be a on your religion. I saw him sometimes I saw him. You know, Christopher. Would you got also yes, you know, your presby, no arena, the bush of one the emperor.
Different denomination.
Different denomination can be a Christopher. Right. Nobody is punishing him so you're criminal. No, that's not what we are saying. But if he wants to advance an argument to say religion and ethnicity has an influence in voter behavior, if you want to do a pure academic exercise there, then I disagree with him. And especially the example, come and say, or 236 Christian in pieces. Let him know, say that he was not contesting the 236 Christian pieces. He was contesting John Mahama. And that 236 Christian pieces in Kwano, their opponents, 215 of them were also Christians. So there was nothing like religion that played at the parliamentary level. And so that argument is null and void. Wait, they can hear you. It's that the terrain now, you know, so, or did that about matter, no, or the bar, me and discussing. Intellectual community and discussing.
That's all you ever say. But final question, I know a very hard question, and I wish someone can say you too early. Kazo.
Obi the message be about now.
Sir, Kennedy or in Japan, to me winning Namiya Dum 31st January 2026. Obe pese. Obefa Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia as running mate. Mimi Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia made a question about Boba Kukum Muam, you know. Every day, 31st January 2026. Now, Wakasa Wafa Kennedy as running mate. Obe Pese, Obe running mate. Simple question, I'm sorry.
I think that decision is at their level. Now, they are two responsible adults. I will to make such decision. But inside the way, so be our vision. Oh, it's not really about.
But to you as a spokesperson,
me sure say me no trono. It's just really about getting a position keko. Omo vision that they want to come and implement.
Okay, but so and vision also contribution is very important.
And you know that about me as advice. I'm not you want to be that. Okay, so best advice be on you. Obi advice 8 years or say, and maybe we know him. No, okay, so command advice be over. I think his vision, he can well implement it as the president of the country.
Because not the vice.
Maybe the future will decide, but I am so convinced that he can implement it as the president. Or me sure vice and all also bit my.
Man, I say, and I know you be man me fair, which is a me bo abaso.
Yes.
And about two me sorry and me call page. We are no post to Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. Keep it up.
Me penase mo na me penase mo but I say 2020 we no I boss no cost pa me penase mo na say 2028 na me susu say no de na ho de no Konye statement no mfa nimde no. Also rich ideas about. Oh, we have rich ideas na ko the techi special experience ni ade no. Aha. Me dem mo gide say doctor na nkasa kra de ko nya ko obepe ne baby atra. Na we say to da stakeholders interested parties no. Oh, ne jam ni yodo. Na say ade agro so be so e feature no. Nti kan be hu de eko. O aye ya o 20 ebusa say baby eko nti unim baby eko. Adane.